Welcome to this special Italian wine podcast broadcast. This episode is a recording off Clubhouse, the popular drop-in audio chat. This Clubhouse session was taken from the Wine Business Club and Italian Wine Club. Listen in as wine lovers and experts alike engage in some great conversation on a range of topics in wine. If you enjoy listening, please consider donating through ItalianWinePodcast.com. Any amount helps cover equipment, production, and publication costs. And remember to subscribe and rate our show wherever you tune in.
Hi everybody! Italian Wine Podcast celebrates its 4th anniversary this year, and we all love the great content they put out every day. Cin Cin with Italian wine people has become a big part of our day, and the team in Verona needs to feel our love. Producing the show is not easy, folks. Herding all those hosts, getting the interviews, dropping the Clubhouse recordings, not to mention editing all the material. Let's give them a tangible fan hug with a contribution to all their costs. Head to ItalianWinePodcast.com and click donate to show your love.
Okay, hello everybody. My name is Stevie Kim and welcome to Italian Wine Club. I'm back. Today's call will be moderated by Paul Bologna, our recently accredited Italian wine ambassador. Congratulations, Paul. He will be interviewing Massimiliano Brambilla. I've actually just landed in Verona a few hours ago and happy to be back. Oh my God, there are so many forms, tests, apps to be filled out to get back home. At a certain point, I thought I was going to miss the plane. So let me just share this with our audience. For anyone traveling into Italy now, and I think most of the European EU, every country has a different rule. That's the problem as well. But to get into Italy, definitely, now you must also complete the EU Digital Passenger Locator form online. Let me repeat, EU Digital Passenger Locator form online. It's not a piece of paper you can fill out. It must be done prior to check-in. I hadn't flown in about 17 months before going to New York, so I hadn't a clue. Actually, I should ask Paul. Paul, did you have to fill out one of those in June as well when you came to Italy?
I did.
Oh, okay, so that was already, I didn't really understand that. Well, there was a bit of a drama at the airport as it wasn't very iPhone friendly. In the end, I had to do it from my laptop. So just be aware, folks, if you are interested in learning more, I'll send you the link so that you can save some extra hassle. Okay, that was a little bit of housekeeping there, just to let you know. Back to Ambassador's Corner. Today we are back with our 6th installment. We have the entire office on holidays until end of next week. In Verona, we'll be opening up the offices on the 23rd. So today we are back with our 6th installment of this series, Ambassador's Corner, which is becoming one of my favorites, where Italian wine ambassadors and wine lovers get a chance to interview their favorite Italian wine producer. So we did Alberto Tasca, that's with Cynthia, then Xiaowen, fantastic. Interview with Elena Fucci. You guys should listen to that if you haven't. It's incredibly inspirational and heartwarming. Then Jill Gordon-Smith, our Italian wine expert, interviewed Rocco Toscani. Ciro Pirone, Terrible Connection. Let's see I don't know what the recording's going to be like. Hope we can salvage some of that, Ciro, with Roberto Di Meo. Then last week was very particular, interesting, a Chinese winemaker making Etna wines with Steph Im, with Alice Wang and Alan Kwok, 2 Italian wine ambassadors from Hong Kong. Then today we, of course, have Paul Bologna with Massimiliano Brambilla. His winery is called Vigne Ol Cru. And then coming up, the next week, we have Gianluca Querolli with Stefano Chiarlo. Then the week after that, we have Jody Holman with Enrico Della Piano. That's from Rizzi and Barbaresco. And then Cynthia's back, Cynthia Chaplin with Ilaria Takis. Of course, she's the daughter of Giacomo Takis. Yeah, she actually has a winery. So it's interesting. And then Hugh Priest will be coming back on the 9th of September with Ariana Occhipinti. So those are all lined up, and we've confirmed all calls up. Already published on the Italian Wine Club. So please, that's my drink. Remember to follow us and put on the bell if you'd like to be alerted for the next one. But in general, we record on Thursdays on 8 p.m. like today, Central European time, unless there are some time zone challenges. A quick shout out to our backstage clubhouse manager in the front row, and Joy, our Italian wine podcast producer. I think she's still in Croatia. Don't forget to ping me our Joy if you'd like to nominate and interview your favorite Italian wine producer. I see that Clubhouse is now DM capable directly. I've completely missed that during my hiatus from the app. If you can, please continue to DM us on Insta so more than one eyes will be on that. That'll be grand. So before we get on to today's show, I must remind you that the room is recorded, and probably if all goes well, we play it on the Italian Wine podcast. But that really depends on the quality of the recording, as we are being connected from different parts of the world and through different means and different instruments. So you see now that this room is very much an extension of Italian Wine Podcast. So if you can give a thumbs up and rate our podcast wherever you get your pods, we'd really appreciate that. And if you'd like to make a small donation, even better. Grazie mille. Let me now start with our moderator today. I'm very, very pleased to present our friend and our guest moderator for our call today. That's, of course, Paul Bologna. He became certified as an Italian wine ambassador in June in the flagship edition in Verona. Congratulations. Paul is a native to Southern California and a graduate of UCLA. Began his wine career working in Napa, and then started a long career working as a somm for JW Marriott and Ritz-Carlton resort brands. So he is a go-to person if you need a discount with those hotels. Paul has traveled to many times to Italy, both for work and pleasure. In particular, he was very keen to take UC Davis students on tours to wine estates. Like I said, he's now an bona fide Italian wine ambassador from Vinitaly International Academy. By the way, we are coming to America in September if you want more information. And we are having a tuition waiver program for the underrepresented communities for the first time. So if you can spread that good word, that would be really great. Paul does what the Italian wine ambassadors do best, which is to promote and educate about Italian wine. So let's start. Hello, Paul. Ciao, Paul. Come stai?
Ciao. Thank you for having me today.
So listen, Paul, your name is Bologna. So are you Italian?
Yes, I'm Italian. I'm Sicilian on one side and Polish on the other side.
Oh, okay. Because you're Bologna. I thought there's some a proclivity to affinity to Bolognese, but you're actually from Sicily.
Yes, from my father's side, Sicily. But I love Bologna, of course, so I wouldn't mind being from there, but I like to visit there anyway.
So listen, why did you select Massimiliano Brambilla, Vignol Cru, as your favorite producer to be interviewed today?
Well, I selected Vigne au Cru and Massimiliano as my favorite producer to look out for because of their commitment to experimentation and innovation. So it's not a story about the past, but really more a story about the future. And they're very committed to understanding Pinot Noir and how to take it to the next level in Italy.
Great. So as you know, I'm a bit crazy about, making this call into an educational platform as well. So we always speak about the learning objectives. So what are the learning objectives that we should take away from your interview today?
Well, there's a couple of things. I would say, firstly, it's just really to understand the Oltre Pavese and highlight why it's a growing hotspot for Pinot Noir in Italy, as well as how the still wines and the Metodo Classico wines are different from other wine appellations. I also wanted to peek a little bit into the future to ask him his opinion if there's a potential for some breakthrough bottlings in the coming years that will bring more prominence to the category of Pinot Noir. Could there be a Sassicaia of Pinot Noir that comes from nowhere in the future? And actually, there's another strange thing is that he does, he's going to talk a little bit about how he maps the neurological processes of the brain of a wine drinker to lead to new insights. So that's something a little different that I thought the listeners might want to hear about.
Okay, that's terribly interesting, actually. Just as an extra question, how did you discover Massimiliano in the first place?
Well, back in 2015, I attended the World Expo, which took place in Milan, and Vigne Old Cru was featured as the new and innovative winery. It was chosen for the region of Lombardia, and he and his brother were recognized for this Vigne Old Cru project. So the World Expo, if you don't know or if listeners are unsure of it was an international exhibition that had every country in the world participate to show not only their unique cultural food offerings, but also the technological innovations that would theoretically better the food supply while also being carbon neutral, energy efficient, and all that. So it was an amazing exhibition that went on for a few months with hundreds of thousands of global tourists attending. So after that exhibition, I visited his estate, and he was generous enough to take time out and show me his winery and vineyards. And so we have him here today to talk about the innovations.
Did you also visit our Italian wine pavilion?
I did.
Okay, and we had about 3,000 wines. That nearly killed me, that project. About 3,000 wines and six months of that, and not to mention, of course, the entire preparation and the project of construction. It was an incredible undertaking, but we used to have sometimes like 12,000 to 20,000 people go through the pavilion every day. So it was pretty amazing I don't know if for those who've never attended the World Expo before. Okay, so Paul, I'm going to shut up as the tradition calls it, and just take it away, Paul.
Okay, so it gives me great pleasure to introduce to all of you today the man who owns Vigne Old Cru. He's a very charismatic man who was the CEO and vice president of a large electrical engineering corporation that was listed on the Milan Stock Exchange, my old job. Yeah. 24 plants, 18 countries, 2,000 employees. I'm beginning to understand how he commandeered the resources for this project. But truly, he's a very passionate soul who has now dedicated his life, along with his brother, to working with universities and putting effort into researching Pinot Noir clones, farming methods, satellite technology, and even neuroscientific experiments on wine drinkers, if you can believe that. So without further ado, I will introduce to you Massimiliano Brambilla. Ciao.
Ciao, Paul. How are you? Ciao, Stevie.
I'm doing great.
Oh, fine. Hello, Stevie, and thank you for having me here today.
Well, great. So let me get started with the first question.
Yes.
So it starts with the understanding of the Vigne Old Cru wine project and the innovative research that encompasses the project. I know that you and your brother actually started working on this years before the World Expo. Can you tell us how this project got started and what universities you work with?
Yes, in the creation of the Vigne Old Cru wine project with my brother, in addition to the love for Pinot Noir, we were stimulated by the idea of developing a nursery of ideas that could bring together multiple universities with a joint vision. Coming from the industrial and financial world, we are used to planning medium-long-term projects in which the heart of corporate research and development becomes the main engine of the growth. The proximity to various universities allowed us to develop multiple projects with different degree theses to direct our efforts towards constant qualitative and innovative research in multiple fields, both enological and agronomic, but also in communication and marketing, all while maintaining a constant of craftsmanship. In developing our Vineyard Crew project, we were inspired by numerous wineries that we have visited in different countries around the world for several years, planning the construction of the cellar with architects who took into consideration not only the aesthetic aspect, but also, and above all, the functional one, in accordance with the production needs seen from the beginning with some universities that have followed us from the beginning. Our vineyards are not concentrated in one area, but are different areas depending of the type of Pinot Noir we wanted to develop. Working with multiple Pinot Noir clones and different breeding forms with micro and meso-vinification allowed us to make many evaluations on the setting of Vineyard Crew and on our future development. The collaboration with the neuromarketing department of Hume University allowed us to reduce some costs and to optimize our communication tools in a scientific and therefore measurable way. Not having inherited some vineyards has allowed the Vineyard Crew to evaluate the most evoked lands with the best exposures for suitable development of the project without having to adapt what we would have found in the different situation. So the dynamism of our growth will continue to develop with our desire to experiment, and we live all this with great excitement. And it is as if every time we find the right piece of a great puzzle that is composed before our eyes, indicating a new path which fits continuously, giving us new emotion and increasing the interest in wines. This combination with the university world allowed us to experiment in a conscious way, optimizing our work.
Okay, well, Massimiliano, let me ask you to maybe turn down your speaker a little bit. There's a little bit of an echo going on there, but good answer there. Most people, if they understood that, you really created this winery from scratch and all the vineyards from scratch. So this is something that is really from the bottom up. Developing. But my next question really has to do with the idea of how people drink wine. I'll say here in California, many people drink wine as a cocktail. In Italy and in the old world, it's all about the food and wine pairing. But Pinot Noir, there's a lot of devotees to Pinot Noir here on the West Coast, whether Oregon or California, and it can make for a very complete tasting wine. That is, they'll just drink it by itself if need be. And I know that's a little bit different in Italy. So when it comes to like the global style of Pinot Noir with this new world versus old world paradigm, what are your thoughts on the subject of drinking wine as a cocktail or having it with food?
Well, this is a very interesting question. I think that the best style to produce Pinot Noir is the style that allowed you to recognize the land in which the Pinot Noir is produced. The variables are many, but all essential to the territory. Then there is a hand of the winemaker who contributes to give personality to the wine. When we interpret a new harvest, we take care to give continuity with the previous wines by emphasizing their new characteristics. You pointed out a big difference between tasting a wine in the new world and in the old world. In Italy, we look for a lot of combinations of wine with dishes, and probably this characteristic is due to the great complexity of our cousin and the large number of native vines, where every Italian region could be a single state by number of dishes and wines. However, I find it fascinating that the new world gives wine a leading role, tasting it without any contamination given by the dishes. After all, there are the two sides of the same coin, in which wine plays a leading role or co-protagonist, giving continuous motion and carry out the social function of aggregation and conviviality.
Great. I know your winery is a short drive from Milan, so I'm sure many listeners, visited Milan, but didn't know how close they were to the beauty of the rolling hills on the other side of the Po River. Tell everyone a little bit about how you got started making wine, the different wines you make, and what kind of wines are made in the area in general.
I was born in the industrial world and involved in the financial one, but after a few years of financial management, I liked the planning linked to the productive world. And with my brother Matteo, we shared the passion for wine and in particular for Pinot Noir. What intrigued us most was and is in the idea of producing something in which our soul and our passion could be transferred to other through product like wine. The romantic idea that in Italy or on the other side of the world, a couple in love or a group of friends can celebrate a moment tasting our wines, fill us with enthusiasm. And regarding Oltrepo Pavese is located in the northern Italy, about 60 kilometers south of Milan. Is very close to airport. There is just over 100 kilometers from Malpensa Airport and only 70 kilometers from Linate Airport. Oltrepo Pavese has a characteristic triangular shape. On one side, there is the largest river in Italy that's named Po, while in the south, the highest mountain is at 1,700 meters. And the proximity to the sea, less than 100 kilometers to the south, and the Alps to the north, then that stop the cold currents, create a very particular continental climate, with a harsh winter and a hot summer. In Oltrepo Pavese, we have hundreds of kilometers of trails on foot, by bicycle, and on horseback through the winding hills. We have many villages, really, really pretty, among the most beautiful in Italy, castles and spas. In Pavia, we have a splendid covered bridge. Pavia is very close to the area of Oltrepo Pavese. And we have also the Certosa di Pavia, that is an historic monumental complex with a 15th century monastery and sanctuary. In Oltrepo, among our splendid hills, the perfect day could be divided as follows. In the morning, sport, like walking, cycling, or horse. Lunch, immersing yourself in the rich and gastronomic heritage of the Oltrepo. Early cultural afternoon among ancient churches and castle, medieval villages and works of art. Then late afternoon, relax in the numerous spa facilities. In the evening, discovering endless romantic restaurants with a very wide choice, from traditional trattorias to the most renowned starred restaurants.
Well, wow, that sounds like the perfect day.
Yes, I like to think it in this way.
Yeah. Well, I know it's definitely different if you have like a hustle bustle thing going on in Milan, just to, I don't know, maybe a 45-minute hour drive, and you're, just like those people from San Francisco can go to Napa Valley, or in Vienna, you can go to the Wachau. It's very close and very different. Yes. And very nice. Yes. So another question for you, and this is very Italy, is, Italy will often blend a little bit of a native grape along with an international grape to give it its own Italian identity. And I know you make a wine that uses Pinot Noir in a blend along with Bonarda and Nebbiolo to make a delicious wine you call No. Is this something new, this kind of blend, or do other people do it? And what does Pinot Noir add to the blend specifically?
Oh, wow. Always using Pinot Noir blended with other wines, we have two very interesting wines. One of which has a very compelling history, because we wanted to create a wine that would contain the best of the native and historical varieties of the Oltrepo Pavese, communicating the territory through a collaboration with another company of the Oltrepo Pavese, creating synergies of value. And for me, this is very important. So Vineyard Crew has 4 vines. Busy, that is another viticulture company close to us, has other 4 different wines, and we created together a wine that was the result of the collaboration between 2 producers from the same territory and 2 universities. The first one is the State University of Milan, Department of Agricultural and Environmental Sciences, chaired by Professor Valenti, and the Department of Neuromarketing of Ulm, that is the University of Marketing and Communication in Milan, chaired by Professor Russo, through 60 students of the Master in Food and Wine Communication of Ulm and Gambero Rosso. So the result was a red wine with 8 grapes varieties, and we have Pinot Noir, Barbera, Croatina, Vespolina, Uvarara, Moradella, Nebbiolo, and Dolcetto. So the State University of Milan has made the cut, and the Ulm University has created the brand, label, and packaging, with the result that for 2 consecutive years as a table wine, the country in London gave us 91 points for the first year and 91 points the last year. A small demonstration of how union can make strength.
Yeah, I tasted it at Vinitaly a couple years back, and I was really impressed with that wine. So maybe more people will be making a blend like that. That would certainly be innovative and interesting. So now here's something that's not every vintner does. Tell us a little bit about your research project called Drops of Happiness, which involves brain scans and wine tasting. What's that all about? I'm imagining a lie detector test or testing one's threshold for palate fatigue, or I'm a little confused. So tell everybody what Drops of Happiness are about.
Yes, he's very curious. So with the neuromarketing lab of the Ulm University, assisted by Professor Russo, we have embarked on a collaboration that is the 6th year that has changed our lives totally. Because with the neuromarketing lab, we have organized several masters in food and wine communication, in which different groups of students are commissioned different projects that result in different university theses. Vignol Cru was among the first winery in Italy to use neuromarketing studies to scientifically measure the impact on the market of both communication and its wines. How does the neuromarketing lab work? We are able to measure the emotion of multiple people of different ages, different sexes, and different ethnicities through the sensory chair. The person sits on the chair, wears a ring that measures the skin conductance, another ring that measures the heartbeat rate, wears a helmet with different probes that analyze the positive and negative emotion on the left and the right prefrontal apparatus. Then we have an eye tracking that measures the movement of the eyeball, and a laser that measures the movement of the facial muscles. In practice, it is if a powerful lie detector analyzes the emotion of the person, and through a software that analyzes the brain image, the areas of the brain responsible for the taste are highlighted. So with this technique, we have managed to make the taste objective. So through a significant sample of people, we were able to reduce the sunk costs. Tasting before going on the market, both the wines and the different marketing communication, such as labels, website, advertising, and so on. So this wonderful innovation makes us more competitive scientifically, measuring what we do and reducing the time to return from the market. Today, we will not be able to do without the neuromarketing lab, and I would recommend implementing it to all the companies in all the sectors. So believe me, Paul, it's something incredible. Never without it.
Okay. I usually find working in the restaurant, people are very vocal about how they feel about a wine. But for those that aren't, I wish I could say, let's see that brain scan. But anyway, I know that your area in the Oltrepò Pavese is increasing plantings of Pinot Noir at a fast rate, which I assume is due to the increased production of Metodo Classico wines. So my question now is, how would you describe the difference between Metodo Classico wines from Oltrepò Pavese and those from other areas like Franciacorta, Trentino, or Alta Langa?
Right. In Oltrepò Paese, the traditional method is mainly based on Pinot Noir, as in Alta Langa, while in Franciacorta and Trentino, there is a prevalence of Chardonnay. So this is the main difference. Then the sparkling process is identical in all four areas. Another important difference is given by the vastness of the territory, where Oltrepò Pavese and Alta Langa have much larger territories, and Trentino and Franciacorta with less uniform soil complexity. In Oltrepò Pavese, the traditional method soils are made up of marl, arenaceous, limestone, and chalky soils. In Alta Langa, the soils have a marly, calcareous, clayey composition, while in Trentino is very rich in limestone. And in Franciacorta, the soil is sandy, loamy with gravels and pebbles. So those are the main difference between the four territories.
Okay, well, let me ask you now, what size of a winery are you? And I know that you're soon going to be distributed in California. Do you plan to grow? Do you foresee exporting your wines to other markets in the U.S., maybe the East Coast? What is the status of your distribution?
Oh, okay. Which Vineyard Crew was conceived for a total production of around 400,000 bottles. In order to remain artisan of wine, but not industrializing part of the production processes. This year, we should have a production of around 150,000 bottles, and 50% of our turnover we do abroad, and most of which in the Chinese market, where we have 3 different dealers. We are not yet present in the United States market, but we have a contact with a Los Angeles distributor for the California market, which we hope to leave by the end of this year.
Well, great. So let me ask you, if there are tourists staying in Milan and they want a wine experience outside the city, what can they expect if they drove out to your winery? Do you serve lunch? I know there's great views there with the sparkling wine. What would a day at Vigne Il Cru encompass?
Okay, yes. Being only at 60 kilometers south of the province of Milan, we have several tourists who come to visit us in the cellar. And we organize guided tasting and cellar tour. And we are very active in organizing different events. We have a conference room for 120 people where we organize team building work with several companies. We have a wonderful panoramic area overlooking our vineyards where we host up to 200 people, organizing tasting of our wines in combination with some traditional Pavese dishes. Then with KitchenAid has installed a very modern kitchen where we do show cooking with a different restaurant chef in combination with different vintages of our wines. Vineyard Crew has created a wine and drivers club where twice a year, starting from the cellar, we rent important historic villas in Monza, Milan, Pavia and Como, and with 70 Sport Dreams car, we combine safe driving with conscious drinking. During the harvest period, we open the cellar to more than 1,000 people on the 4 weekends of September, with an area dedicated to the children in which they collect and press the grapes. For 5 years, Vineyard Crew has also become an art gallery, hosting a semi-permanent exhibition of a Tuscan painter and sculptor, combining the craftsmanship of our wines with a more canonical form of pictorial and sculptural art.
Yeah, well, I will tell you, I think it's a very stunning place. You know, you're up there on a hill, walls of glass, looking at rolling green hills. Really, really pretty spot. So this is a question now that's really specific about Pinot Noir, and how is it different in your area than, say, Alto Adige or other regions? Because I definitely it was definitely richer and rounder than other Pinot Noirs that I've tried before in Italy. So how would you describe the differences?
Well, first of all, the vastness of the Oltrepo Pavese creates different variables, both climatic. So we have a solar radiation, temperatures, and rainfall, and soil with different geological periods. Think, Paul, that ranging from 5 to 45 billion years. Pinot Noir is not suitable for all production area and only encourage the most suitable areas. To have high quality, it is necessary to cultivate this vine in restricted environments. When we decided to invest in Oltrepo Pavese, creating a vineyard crew, we had the privilege of being able to choose the areas with the best vocation for the production of Pinot Noir in red and in the traditional method. This, together with the constant experimentation with the State University of Milan, has allowed us to find the best clonal solution according to the soil. So, with the combination of different rootstocks depending on the soil. The main difference between our Pinot Noir and the Trentino Pinot Noir is that the Oltrepo Pavese wines are more structured and having higher percentage of clay in the soil, they have more intense aromas. While in Trentino, having a medium body and less tannins, they have more delicate aromas. In both areas, the young Pinot Noir are vinified with maturation at a controlled temperature. Vineyard Cru has three versions of Pinot Noir vinified in red, one aged in steel tanks and two aged in new medium toasted barriques with different seasoning woods, where for the entire aging period, once a week, it is carried out the batonnage.
Yeah, I really did enjoy your Pinot Noir, and I think it was like 24 months in oak, so I mean, it definitely could take it. So my last question for you is, appropriately, it's about your dessert wine. I know it scored really high in the 5-star wine judging a few years ago. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Oh, yes. We produce a sweet Moscato, and we have a small plot of land at about 300 meters on the sea level, facing northwest with a clay marl soil. The wine has a particular characteristic, as we normally do an early harvest, where we preserve the acid part, and the soil gives it a great flavor, and the prevailing aromas are green apple and sage. So those are the main characteristics.
Well, it's great. You have quite a lineup of wines. I really enjoyed them when I came and visited you.
All right. Great.
So, Stevie, lastly, I'll ask you, have you been to this area? Do you enjoy it?
You know, first of all, complimenti, tutti e due. I was very enthralled with the conversation. It's an area that I'm not as familiar, obviously, than Franciacorta of the situation. I have been to Oltrepo Pavese, but especially during the expo, actually. But I've not been recently. And I think, Paul, remember like for the flagship edition, we had a masterclass with, some Durello, for example, the consortium. I think we should try to get the consortium involved to do a masterclass for our students, Massimiliano, maybe next year, because I'm unfamiliar with Oltrepo, I have to be honest. And I think I've learned so much today. And I think it could be very interesting also for, especially the wine geeks that I see out here in the audience and who follow us, more importantly, on the Italian Wine podcast. If you guys have any questions, I see a bunch of ambassadors. I see Shawen, Corinne, of course, Melissa, Leica. I'll bring Leica up in any case. If anybody else would like to ask a question to Paul or Massimiliano, please raise your hands, and this is a good time. I don't necessarily want every session to go to 1 hour. So if you have a good question, then you can raise your hand.
Okay, I think I'm going to start with the first question.
Okay.
All right. So, Massimiliano, you mentioned a lot of things and really amazing ideas about wine tourism in Vignale Cru. I'm just curious because of, I know that this is going to be a usual question, but I'm also curious about this. Like, how do you address the situation with the decline of wine tourism because of the pandemic?
Oh, yes. We organize our work in a different way. So with the pandemics, we organize a lot of masterclass in the vineyard, and while with the customers that we have abroad, we organize some masterclass in distance with the social. But we continue to organize the tasting because we put the people in many different areas in the vigna, and we teach them a lot of the characteristic of our vineyard. So we organize in this way, and also we contacted a lot of restaurateurs that comes to visit us. So we had the opportunity to organize a lot of tasting with them because they closed their activity. So for us, has been a moment with a great opportunity to introduce a new restaurateur in our winery.
Thank you, Leica, for that question. Paul, you've been incredibly thorough with your questions, so we can easily close up the room if there are additional questions. I don't want to be too cheeky. Non voglio fare il polemica, Massimiliano, but how do you position Oltrepo Pavese when you compare it with Franciacorta, because you guys are both in Lombardy? Like, what are the main, I know you did the main difference of all the sparkling wines, but are there specific differences other than being Pinot Noir based? What is the choice? Why was it the choice to be Pinot Noir based? Is it because of the terroir? Is it because of its history?
Yes, it's both. So for history, and you know that we fall in love with Pinot Noir. So we decided to have an investment in this area of Oltrepo Pavese, because the most part of the Pinot Noir is in Italy is produced in Oltrepo Pavese. I think that more or less the 70% of the production of Pinot Noir in Italy is in Oltrepo Pavese. And here I like so much the opportunity of the territory, because we comes from the 100 meter up to on the sea level up to 600 meters. And this is amazing because we have 3 geological areas, and this allowed us to with the right clones to produce a great Pinot Noir vinified in red. And if we want to have a very good acidity, we have the opportunity with the right clones for white wines to produce a traditional method. In fact, our traditional method, we have the vineyards that start from 300 meters up close to 600 meters. And with the change of the climatic situation, this allowed us to have a very good acidity. And you know that for Pinot Noir is a total different body, total different structure. So for me was for us for Vineyard Crew was a great opportunity to combine the two souls of the Pinot Noir. So you have one coin that in one side you have with the red clones, the red Pinot Noir, and in the other side with the white clones, you have the opportunity to produce a traditional method. And you have this opportunity to combine both in Oltrepò Pavese. So for me, this is the best difference.
So, Massimiliano, maybe just some generic questions. Sorry about that. Maybe just some generic questions. How many producers are there in Oltrepò Pavese area? And is the consortium, would you say it's fair to say they're an aggregator, an important player? And what is the total production volume? And what is the percentage of the export market as versus internal?
Okay, so
Yeah, the entire area. And then if you want to talk about your company specifically.
in Oltrepò Pavese, we have close to 1,700 wineries. So it's an area with an incredible numbers of winery, where the medium size of the winery has more or less 2 hectares. And so this is the production, the number of winery. Regarding the turnover abroad, I don't know real this date. Regarding us, the 50% of our turnover is abroad, and we would like to increase it in the next year to arrive at 70% more or less. And but I don't know how is the total turnover abroad of the area. Because it's divided also in a different typology of wines. Because here is the third area in Europe for production of Pinot Noir with 3,000 hectares on Pinot Noir. But here you know that there are many autochthonal vines that comes from Buratina to Barbera to several different ones. So I'm not able to give you the real number of the exports.
Yeah. I was just curious. I wanted to kind of contextualize, but that's fine. Thank you very much, Massimiliano. We have Ciro. Ciao Ciro, come stai?
Ciao Stevie, tutto bene? Te?
And what is going on in Boston with the COVID? We're supposed to come there in September. In 1 month, exactly.
I know there's been some issues down in P-Town. And, obviously places where there's a lot of action going on in the summer. That's where cases are spiking. But it's not too bad. I mean, honestly, other than some cases, but those are everywhere. So hopefully, things will be fine by then. That's all I can say.
Okay, Ciro, have you got a question for Massimiliano Paul?
Yeah, my question is, because you're talking about the size of the area and whatnot, and how Oltrepò Pavese is so popular, or at least in Italy maybe. But here, in 22 years I've lived in Boston, I never seen, maybe obviously I'm sure there are some, never seen Oltrepò Pavese. So my question is, what are actually the wineries or the consortium doing to try and promote themselves internationally, or at least in these areas, considering that Massachusetts is one of the top markets in the United States? Because I just don't see the wines. So I don't get it. What is happening? Are people not understanding the wines, or it's just no market for them, or what are they actually doing trying to promote them?
Paul, would you like to answer? I mean, do you see much of Oltrepò Pavese stateside?
I don't personally. In fact, I've never I've never even seen a bottle for sale. And what initially made me choose this winery and Massimiliano to talk about is in California, there's this concept of a Pinophile. A Pinophile is they only drink Pinot Noir. They're happy to only drink Pinot Noir, and they just stay within that category. So maybe they'll have an Oregon Pinot Noir and then do one from Santa Barbara or Sonoma or wherever, but Italy is not really in that conversation. Alto Adige, I see Pinot Noir from there, but that's basically it. And I know the Pinots from his area taste very different. And I know Tuscany has some that are very different. So I'm just hoping Italy can sort of come up with a global style and enter the conversation and appear more on wine lists for that reason.
All right, so listen, you guys, if you, Massimiliano and Paul, if you don't have anything to add, I'm going to close up the room. Okay, so don't forget to come back. I saw Gianluca Querolli just a few minutes ago. He will be coming back for us next Thursday to interview Stefano Chiarlo. So thank you, Massimiliano. Thank you, Paul. Arrivederci, and to next week.
Ciao.
Bye.
Listen to the Italian Wine Podcast wherever you get your podcasts. We're on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Himalaya FM, and more. Don't forget to subscribe and rate the show. If you enjoy listening, please consider donating through ItalianWinePodcast.com. Any amount helps cover equipment, production, and publication costs. Until next time, Cin Cin.